Happy Halloween. It's Friday, October 31st, 2025. Yes, happy Halloween indeed. Thanks for joining me on this special edition of Up to the Minute. I'm Benjamin Escobar, HCC Production Specialist. We are on the Houston City College District Facebook page, not HCC, but Houston City College District. We're also on YouTube, X, LinkedIn, and on HCC TV at noon, 5 and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday. On today's show, we're looking back at some local Halloween favorites from previous episodes of Up to the Minute. First up, Eddie Spector gives us the lowdown on Galveston Island ghost tours.
How you doing?
I am doing well. Were you responsible for those Halloween themed sounds that we're hearing at the beginning of the intro?
You got to thank my buddy Nathan for that, I guess. But I don't know. A bunch of spooky stuff is happening today already.
Oh my goodness. Is that how your day is getting started?
This is how every day starts for me,
That's how
actually.
every day starts when you were the head of the ghost tours of Galveston. Well, like I said, welcome to the show. You're a busy man this time of year. So thanks for stopping by Up to the Minute. So let's begin on your background with the paranormal.
Oh, well, okay. Well, first of all, way back in the day, my mom was the spiritual side of the family. And my father was more of the discipline side. He did 2 tours in Vietnam. He was, that man. So I was a scientific person, but also very intrigued with the spiritual realm. So I'm like a Mulder and Scully in one, if you know X-Files. So, I go to investigate something. I look at the science part and then I look at the ghost part. My mom sent me to elementary school for show and tell. She gave me a Ouija board for elementary school. Hey, look at this. So I've been involved with the paranormal all my life, and if we moved into a house that was haunted, she would just naturally just tell us kids.
Oh no, I think we may have lost you for a second. Checking in, Eddie. Did you get a reconnection?
I'm right here.
All right, then you're back. So you were
All
telling
right.
us about your experiences with the paranormal, kind of your background in and how it started as early as childhood. So I'm assuming that there have been many people who have called you about paranormal experiences.
Yeah, it's really interesting when you get that Ghostbusters call. Somebody calls and says, I'm experiencing something pretty bad. I had one person call thinking they were possessed. And when we go into that territory, we have to really, really be careful. And so my first instinct is to make sure they're okay health wise. When was the last time you did blood work, psychiatric treatment, anything like that? With this one case, we were doing a Mardi Gras parade with the hearse driving in the parade. And I said, why don't you come along and just breathe in the good energy? And so I brought her in and we did that experiment. She did her mental health checkup and she started to do great. And I love helping people like that. It's great. Yeah.
And and I'm sure a lot of your earlier experiences, some of those phone calls have led you to the work that you do today. And you do tours, of course, but you say you also do investigations, which you kind of led to as well. What's important when you're doing an investigation, and what kind of equipment do you use?
Well, that's really cool. Yes, we have tours year round. Eddie Spector's ghost tours year round. But we also do investigations. My tour company is so wonderful. Um, some of my guides and myself do tarot readings and things like that. As far as paranormal investigations, we've done quite a bit. And what's really cool, if any of you ghosties out there want to do an investigation, you don't have to be rich. You don't have to have anything on you. If you're passionate, go do it. Once you're there, of course, don't do it by yourself. And you don't have any equipment, no problem. Take a pen, put it on the table, and just ask and talk to a spirit and see if that pen moves. Costs nothing for that. You can go as far as getting an EMF meter. These are really great. These are just a standard EMF, electromagnetic field meter. It'll detect anything that fluxes and electromagnetism around you. And here's just a little monitor. It will go off if something goes by. It'll say, "Hi, how you doing?" Or it will say, "Can I get your drink?" I don't know what it says. It says so many things. But you could go as far as get anything that can beep and all sorts of things. I don't know if you knew Quantum Leap, but look at this thing. This is a hand link from Quantum Leap. It has so many lights and sounds. You just set that down, you talk to a spirit, and it can change. But your attitude is very important when going into an investigation. You got to remember, you're talking to people. You're talking to people who passed away. They're just people. Be nice, be courteous, and love them. You know, that's what you're there to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of documentation of people reporting things from experiences, a lot of stories that have been told and documented, but there's still a lot of people who've not embraced that there may be an indeed true connection to the other side or other paranormal events such as the afterlife. So how are you navigating those spaces when when you're running into people who have skepticism?
Well, it's okay. I know that there's one person, a good friend of mine, he said, "I know you do ghost tours, and I've seen a ghost walk down the stairs, but I don't believe in ghosts." I'm like, "Okay, you don't believe in ghosts, but you just saw one and you're telling me about it, but just don't tell anybody you saw it." Okay, fine, no problem. Go ahead. But of all the evidence of the paranormal that we have over hundreds and hundreds of years of documentation, it's hard to embrace that it exists. Now, if we had concrete evidence, that would change everything. Would you go into work knowing that you had an afterlife? I mean, what if you can astral project, all that stuff? If you could do all these things, the world would stop and say, "Holy smokes, we got a whole new world here." So it's really interesting that we don't have it set in stone. Otherwise, it would just break us. The mystery of it all, I think, is beautiful. I think God has graced us with mystery, and I think it's a lovely, lovely thing to have in this reality. So experiment, try to figure it out. And if you don't know, it's okay, because it's all beautiful. It's all so beautiful.
And I'm sure these are things that you share on your tours. So for people that want to learn more about the tours, where can they get more details?
Absolutely. Like I said, we are year round. EddieSpector.com or GhostToursOfGalveston.com. We are right here, always for you in the Galveston area, Galveston County. If you need us to travel, we can travel. It's totally fine. But yeah, go there. Find me anywhere you want. Eddie Spector. We're here for you. That's the important thing. If you have any problems going on, have you experienced anything paranormal? Is anything spooking you in the night? Give us a call. 832-350-2761. It's us.
You are quite the guest. I love it. So thank you so much for joining us. Those that may have just been joining us, we've been talking to Eddie Spector, who's the owner of Ghost Tours for Galveston, and our Thursday Family Fun Day guest. We'll have info posted after the show so you can learn more about the tours. Thanks so much for joining us, Eddie.
Thank you, dear. You are beautiful. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, Eddie. And after a commercial break, Linda will talk to one of our very own HCC professors about a special dog showcase tomorrow at West Houston Institute.
At Houston Community College, we make your lessons matter. Open the door to real-world education, where passions become careers. Find out more at hccs.edu and let your success take flight.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
Welcome back to the special best of Halloween edition of Up to the Minute. Houston is home to the National Museum of Funeral History. Yes, we are home to that. And in this interview from 2024, we learn about how the museum commemorated the Day of the Dead. But first of all, welcome back to the show, Genevieve.
Thank you for having me back. I mean, it's always an awesome opportunity to get out and talk about our great city and some of the awesome things that go on in our city.
Yes, of course. And I know today we have a very unique thing we're going to talk about. But before we talk about Day of the Dead and all the other stuff, tell us about the museum and how long it's been in Houston and why here? Why the National Museum of Funeral History? Why here in Houston?
Well, believe it or not, and I still encounter some Houstonians that don't know we're here or don't realize that we've been here this long. We are over 32 years here in this fine city of Houston. And it was unique to Houston because the founder of the museum, our late Mr. R.L. Waltrip, it was his dream to have a place to showcase our industry, the history of our industry, and their headquarters is here in Houston. So rightfully so, if you're going to headquarters here, you're going to live your whole life here. If anybody knows Heights Funeral Home, that's the original place, the birthplace of the idea of the late Mr. R.L. Waltrip, and
Wow.
then his baby of the museum. And I have just been so honored to nurture and grow his concept into an amazing educational institution for everybody. I mean, death is going to come to all of us, will affect us. And I think it's a unique way to, one, talk about the subject throughout the museum, but also get to know the history of the industry of the funeral profession and how they go about caring for the dead.
Yeah, I mean, the museum is so unique, folks. And why do you think it draws so many people during the month of October?
Well, of course, it's the spooky month, right? I think it's the month that we will all embrace the scary, the macabre, the unknown. Always in the month of October, it just seems to be welcoming in that time, not only for our mindset, but for the I guess the theme and the ghoulishness that can be associated with our museum, and it's kind of a fun place to go hang out.
So would you say it's also family friendly? Like, can I take, children, people of all ages?
Oh, it's definitely family friendly. I mean, it's a capturing museum. We have some fun fantasy Ghana coffins of all the different animals and objects that kids get gravitated towards. But children understand death as young as the age of 2. So what a wonderful opportunity to breach that subject of death with the family and help children embrace death in a more healthier way.
Okay, so about the exhibits there at the museum, what are some of the things that we can find that, you would think, wow, like that's really here, or, something like that?
We have a funeral bus that people are captivated by, with this big monstrosity of a vehicle, if you will, that came from San Francisco. It was designed for the streets of San Francisco, the trolley tracks there. We have a casket.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a casket for 3 that people find quite fascinating. And then, of course, we have presidential exhibit there that goes all the way back to George Washington. So a fun walk through history and learning about the death of our presidents and how we as a nation mourn. And then we have Thanks for the Memories. Anybody who's an icon or somebody that knew somebody that made a big impact, whether it's through their music, their talent, or their ideas, are also featured in that exhibit. So that's kind of interesting. People will go in and go, oh my gosh, I didn't know they passed away. Because television allows them to live on, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you get kind of taken back when you realize that they are human, just like us,
Mhm.
and they unfortunately do pass away.
It's
But I think our most fascinating is our cultural aspect of the museum, which we call International Hall.
okay. Awesome. So I know you always hold a Halloween event, and that event for this year sold out quickly. But you're also hosting a Day of the Dead event, which is another thing, that in Mexican culture, it's kind of like I think the families do to remember the dead, right? So
Correct.
tell us more about that and a special exhibit you are holding for that.
Yeah, so we have a permanent exhibit to the Dia de los Muertos, which is a Latin American holiday celebrated in a lot of the Latin American cultures. Like you said, this is a time where they take to reflect upon the dead, the people who have passed before them, also giving respect to their heritage and where they come from and their ancestors. We find that there's quite a lot of traditions that are
Yeah.
taken during this time frame,
Mhm.
and I think when I first started at the museum, before we even had an exhibit to the Day of the Dead, uh, I remember that people would go into cemeteries, and if you were of Latin American descent, there was a lot of adornment that went
Mhm.
onto the headstone or where the burial place of their loved one is, and people might not have understood what that actually meant.
Mhm.
But as we continue to move forward, and nowadays, there's actually Lawndale Cemetery on October 27th is having a huge Day of the Dead celebration in the cemetery. And it's just an opportunity for your neighbors to come out and understand what that holiday means to them and how we now celebrate it in our fine city of Houston, being so culturally enriched and having a large Latin American population here.
Yeah, and I know a great movie. One of probably like my top favorite movies of all time is Coco, and that just kind of showcases what that Day of the Dead really is about. I mean, it's a wonderful story, very heartfelt, and being of Latin descent, it just kind of pulls at my heartstrings. So, but
And
it's a great event.
I really think Coco really did your tradition justice. Truly,
Hmm.
it did. Not only just, I mean, I think truthfully for the children, of course, because it's animated,
Yeah. Hmm.
but even the adults could find a lot to learn just by watching Coco.
Awesome. And so let's also talk about a special market that you're holding for the first time. Is that right?
Yes. So our Witches Brew, our second annual Witches Brew, sold out within 30 days. We couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And, people have to understand that this market is indoors. It's in the footprint of the museum and the facility itself. So in order for patrons to really enjoy the experience, we unfortunately have to limit the capacity that we can actually house for that evening. So with the great popularity of the Witches Brew, we said, hey, let's bring it back for Day of the Dead. And so this year is our first annual Day of the Dead market. We're really excited. We're also going to have a La Catrina costume contest. So we have
Wow.
a costume contest going for the best dressed La Catrina and the best dressed the La Catrina couple, the male and the female together. So we're really excited. We're already at 50% capacity. So if anyone's listening and you want to get your tickets, when we reach our capacity of about 525, we got 150 VIPs. We're more than halfway there. And we're about 275 right now. But when we reach that 525, the ticket sales shut off. And
Yeah.
we always tell people, buyer beware. If you do not get your tickets with the National Museum of Funeral History, there are no other tickets being sold.
Yeah, so get them quick, folks. You gotta get to these events. So
Mhm.
tell us where we can find those tickets and where can we learn more about the National Museum of Funeral History.
Yeah, so if you go on our website at www.nmfh.org, you can go you'll see on the slider, the Day of the Dead market. You can click on that. It'll take you to the ticket site.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Genevieve Kini Vasquez. She's the president and CEO of the National Museum of Funeral History. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll have all of your info on the post after the show.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Welcome back to Up to the Minute. Before we close out today's show, here's a few announcements. We're starting off with deadline to apply for graduation. If you're graduating this semester and want to walk the stage on December 10th, you need to apply for graduation by November 3rd and register for commencement by November 14th. Visit hccs.edu/graduation. grad checklist for all the details. Again, apply for graduation November 3rd and register for commencement November 14th. We'll have all of that on our link on our post after the show. And next up, we have an annual speech tournament. Speak up, speak out, and make your voice heard at HCC's annual speech tournament. This will take place Saturday, November 15th from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the HCC Northline campus. So for more info, check out our post after the show. And next up, free groceries at HCC. Yes, you heard that right, free groceries. HCC helps students experiencing food insecurity with Eagle Markets and mobile food scholarship programs, ongoing at locations across the district. So for more info to learn about those campuses, check out our post after the show for more info. And lastly, Spring 2026 registration is now open. HCC offers a variety of semester lengths and start dates in several modalities, including in-person, online anytime, online on a schedule, hybrid, and hybrid lab. Register early to get your preferred classes and times. We really can't stress that enough. Apply early, or register, I would say. That way you get your classes that you want. So to learn more about HCC program start dates and options to cover costs, visit hccs.edu/apply. Thank you again for joining us on this special episode of Up to the Minute. Have a safe and enjoyable Halloween, and we look forward to seeing you on Monday.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
When I grow up, I want to work in a lab to build robots.
From classroom to career, we're with you every step. Register for real-world education at hccs.edu.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.